Now, I've been watching a lot of videos where American women are talking about the black man and all that. And I'm like, they can't be that bad, can they? Well, my dear, American women, your points are valid and it makes sense. Now, let me tell you why. I had an encounter with a black American man. Now, before we go any further, let's agree that not every black American man is like that. But from the complaints I've seen, from the videos I've seen, from what the women are saying, American women are saying, some of these things are valid. I had an opportunity to talk to a black American guy, and I understand. Ladies, I understand. You know, something is wrong with the men in America. I'm sorry. Something is totally off. They need to collect and round them up like cattle and put them into therapy. Some of them belong in asylums. And this was a typical passport bro. You could tell, I want an African woman. I want my child to look like you. Very narcissistic, very, But then, and for the American men, black American men coming to Africa to look for women, understand that African women are educated, if not more educated than some of the American women. So when you are coming with your broken mentality, your broken approach towards women, understand that African women are not built for that.
A French tourist has admitted to impregnating more than 600 women in 6 African countries within 2 years. This revelation was given by 40-year-old Jean Michael. The 6 countries include Nigeria, Cameroon, the Ivory Coast, Togo, Ghana, and Guinea. Quote, "Good morning. I have a confession to make about the havoc I have wreaked in 6 African countries, including Cameroon, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, and Guinea. I am not proud of what I've done. These were unfortunate experiences. In France, where I hail from, I did not have money. I was very poor until one day I played and won the lottery. I won 550,000 euros. It was the largest sum of money I had received in my life. I did not know what to do, and a friend suggested that we travel to Africa. We obtained all the documents, entry visa, and the rest, and our first stop was the Ivory Coast. In the Ivory Coast, we rented a furnished apartment. We had money to spend and met Ivorian women, and we became friends. They introduced young Ivorian girls to us, and that's when it all started. I began having relations with the girls every day. Sometimes I would sleep with 3 girls at the same time. It was a marvelous experience. I worried less about my health. All I wanted to do was have fun. My friends and I were in a nightclub in the town every day looking for girls. One time, I met a girl and gave her money, and she told me she wanted to be engaged. She was ready to get pregnant for me. I didn't know whether it was the money they liked or the fact that I was from France that attracted them. I spent 3 months in the Ivory Coast, spent 60,000 euros, and slept with more than 80 girls. After leaving the Ivory Coast, I went to Togo, where I slept with over 100 girls and spent 40,000 euros. I spent 3 months in Togo and went to Nigeria. Nigeria was where I got more girls. I did not speak English, and it seemed Nigerian girls love foreigners. I rented a furnished apartment in Nigeria, and I was in Lagos for 6 months. I spent 100,000 euros and slept with 230 girls. Nigeria was the place I appreciated the most. Girls were always available and easy to deceive. From Nigeria, I went to Ghana and then Cameroon and ended what I described as my sex tour of Guinea. I was in those 3 countries for more than a year and spent more than 200,000 euros. If you slept with more than 700 girls in those countries, you wouldn't believe me, but it was unbelievable. In all, I slept with more than 1,400 girls in 6 different African countries. I have all of their pictures in my photo album, including the dates we met. their names and phone numbers. I opened a Facebook account only for them. To France, I've had more than 600 of them who have told me that they got pregnant from me. Some got rid of the children, and I do not know exactly how many of them finally gave birth. Africa is a marvelous continent. Girls are beautiful and very sexy. All they want is a man who has money, and the worst is when he's white. I realized that they love having mixed race babies. I do not know why, but many would do anything to get pregnant from you. 100 euros is plenty of money in Africa. To summarize, I went on a sex tour in Africa. I slept with 1,400 girls in 2 years, and more than 600 got pregnant. I know many would judge me, but I do not care about your insults. I know that what I did is not good, but I enjoyed my stay in Africa. And I am planning another trip to Senegal, Mali, Gabon, Benin, Niger, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The day after I returned to France, I went to the hospital for medical examinations. And luckily, I was HIV negative and I didn't have any other infectious diseases. My friend was also negative, and we are planning another trip. I did not go to secondary school, so disregard my grammatical errors. Thank you for reading my story. Now, this is the main point that I want to bring up to people, right? You were able to hear a snippet of what it is that the African woman stated in her video, that she is, that they, right, are more educated than Black American women, and that the foolishness, right, that Black men basically have, how, and all of this other type of stuff, they're not going to, stand for it. They're not going to take it, and they're wiser and smarter than Black American women to stay away and not deal with Black American men, right? But yet these same women who are African would never generalize and make videos like this dealing with European travelers coming to their country, having unprotected relationships with women and girls, getting them pregnant, and then leaving them fatherless and husbandless. Notice how that works? Notice how that works. Notice how you have women on two different continents wanting to speak on and talk negatively about Black men, but yet you have other men that are specifically coming directly to them, being allowed, right, by the exact same women who are complaining about Black men. They're allowing these other men to come directly to them and pretty much do the exact same things, if not worse, that they complain that Black men are doing. The most backward and confused type of scenario. I'm not even sure where to even put this at this moment in time, because this is baffling to me. This dude literally stated that he came from France, he won a lottery. He was like, the first thing I'm doing, I'm not about to sit up there and visit America. No, no, no. I'm not going to visit my neighboring or other, European, countries over here. No, no, no. I'm going to go where my money can stretch the longest and where I know that women will love me just because of how it is that I look and where it is that I come from, and the fact that they want to specifically have mixed babies with me. That's what he did. Nowhere in there did he state that he was sorry for what he did, getting all of these women pregnant, right? Nowhere in there did he state that, I learned my lesson. I dodged, a hairy situation, which realistically he didn't, because obviously he didn't learn, because now him and his friend are going to go right back to Africa to do the exact same thing, have unprotected sex with these girls and these women and get them pregnant, and write a whole nother story in a few more years. Isn't it funny how people stay silent directly on this and they don't really want to talk about this? Isn't it hilarious how you have women all over wanting to talk about black men traveling. Oh, black men are, going here and they're going there, and they're looking for uneducated. They're doing this because these women don't have high school or college, and they're looking for submissive this, and right. But yet you don't hear none of these women trying to talk for their sisters directly out here who are getting tricked. And he specifically told you that it was very easy to trick African women. One, because he's a European foreigner. And number two, due to the fact that he has money. And number three, because they want mixed race children. Look at that. See how easy it is? Now, I can easily sit up there and tell you that if I, as a black man, decided to go directly over to Africa, to some of these countries, that I would more than likely have a harder time trying to make my way to a date or anything of that nature. Even if, let's say, for example, maybe I wanted to sit up there and find a wife or something like that, right? If I wanted to do that, I would have to go through a lot, right? I would have to be vetted. People would have to take it slow and everything like that, right? But if I was European, coming from a European country, I was Caucasian, and I had just a little bit of money, automatically everything would be go. And these women allowed him to get them pregnant without any type of promise of anything. The most that he spent on them was a little bit of money, and they were just completely fine having unprotected relations with this guy. Wow. Wow. And I can promise and tell you that he is not the only one actually over there in Africa doing this. There are tons of European men going directly over to Africa doing this every single day of every single month of every single year. And you don't hear nobody voicing any type of opinions or harsh criticisms on any of those guys. You got Caucasian American men going directly to Africa, taking business trips and doing this, that, and the third. They got full on families and everything in America, but they're going over to Africa to start anew. Just like what their peepaws and maws and grandpas did, right? Back during the era of the Wild Wild West, right? Where they sat up there and left their family that they had during the Dust Bowl. Well, Sarah, little Johnny, the West is calling. I'll write you if I make it, but if you don't receive a letter, you know what that means. And he was just off, and that was it. He didn't. He wasn't made to be responsible for anything. There was no such thing as child support. The government was not going to make him responsible for that man, the family, or the kids, or anything like that. Hilarious, ain't it? And yet this is able to go on from both Canadian, American, and European men flying over there to Africa, getting these African women pregnant. And yet you heard an African woman basically state what?
Understand that African women are educated, if not more educated than some of the American women.
So again, as she stated, if they are more educated, right, than the black American woman, and if that is again the case, then why is it that the country is still being colonized not just once, not just twice, but almost pretty much three times, right? Because you had the Europeans come through, right? Now you got Russia, in a sense, coming through. And now you got China that's, in a sense, been there, and they have what I would, in a sense, consider one of the strongest footholds at this moment of time, because America has basically failed because they had their own agendas that they were trying to push in order to gain their own stronghold directly on Africa, due to the fact of all of the resources that it has. This is the main reasons that every other country that is not black is really trying to go directly for Africa, is mainly for the resources that is there. And one of those resources is also women, as you can clearly see. So again, I find it hilarious, because I'm pretty sure that the same woman has heard experiences from the women of her culture, of her people, her tribe, whatever, about Caucasian men. But I promise you, they would not get online and start blasting and bombarding the internet with negative videos talking about European men, I promise you they're not going to do that in droves. Just like how you're not going to have fields of Black American women deciding to go online in droves in echo chambers and negatively talk about European men, Australian men, right? Canadian men, and American Caucasian men. They're not going to talk about any of those men. And especially, they're not going to talk about them in the exact same tone in which they speak about Black American men. Because the main thing that I'm also showcasing here is the fact that if we want to talk about somebody being hated, we can clearly look no further than the Black American man. If you go online again, you'll see a variety of groups of women deciding to open their mouths and start trying to talk, some of which might not have even actually had a real experience with a Black American man, but they heard, or as she stated, I watched videos, right? You heard her basically state that, hey, well, I got a chance to talk to this guy. She didn't date him, she didn't get to know him or anything like that. She just talked to him. Right? Just off of a conversation, she was like, oh, well, everything that the Black American women have been saying about y'all is just 100% right. And I'm like, off of one guy, you, okay, I guess so. I guess so. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I listed in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.